Hello everyone, welcome to yet another session of the Daily News Analysis by SRIRAM'S IAS, where we take up the important articles from the Hindu newspaper and break them down for our understanding from the UPSC examination point of view. So let's start our today's discussion by taking the important articles which feature in the New Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper. So let's take up our first article for the day. The first article appears in the newspaper and reads, Mauna Loa, world's largest active volcano, starts to erupt in Hawaii. So this is the news coming from the Hawaii island where the world's largest volcano, the volcano which is known as Mauna Loa, has started to erupt. So the Hawaiian island is famous for its volcanoes and this is the world's biggest active volcano. So this has erupted, so therefore this is a big news. So this is the island of Hawaii, this is the Mauna Loa volcano, and the other volcanoes are also there on this island, such as the Mauna Kea or the Hualai. So these are some of the other volcanoes, but the volcano which has erupted in Hawaii is known as the Mauna Loa volcano, which is the world's biggest active volcano. So through this article, we'll understand what this volcano is all about, how it impacts the environment and the people around wherever this volcano erupts, and why are some of the volcanoes situated in some regions and we see volcanoes in some parts of the world but there aren't volcanoes in the other parts of the world. So we'll try to answer these questions via this article. So let's talk about this Mauna Loa volcano first. So when it erupted, the news is that this volcano has erupted after 38 years, and like we saw, this is one of the 5 volcanoes that together make up the big island of Hawaii. There are 4 other volcanoes which are there. It is the southernmost island in the Hawaiian archipelago. Hawaii is a set of islands, and archipelago means a set of islands. So the Mauna Loa volcano is on the southernmost island, and it is not the tallest or the largest. The tallest is the Mauna Kea, which we saw, this one. But it's the largest and makes up about half of the island's landmass. It sits immediately north of Kilauea volcano, which is currently erupting from its summit crater. That is why various volcanoes are always erupting in the island of Hawaii. And this Kilauea is well known for a 2018 eruption that destroyed 700 homes and sent rivers of lava spreading across farms and into the ocean. And this Mauna Loa volcano had last erupted 38 years ago, and after 30 years it has now erupted. So whenever these large set of volcanoes erupt, they cause massive impact into not just the Earth's environment, but they change the shape of the Earth. Now, what do we mean when they say that they change the shape of the Earth? We'll take a look at that. But now, with this volcano, let's talk about other volcanoes as well. So apart from the volcano that is erupted, now there are certain recently erupted volcanoes where we see they are in the region of Ecuador, Philippines, in the region of Indonesia, and even India has only one active volcano, which is the Barren Island volcano, which is on the Andaman Island. So these are the recently erupted islands. But the question over here is that this is the map of all the volcanoes that erupt on the planet. So can we see a pattern over here where some of the volcanoes are situated in one particular region, and only in those regions we find many volcanoes where the other regions do not show the presence of the volcanoes. So what is the reason that some volcanoes are present only in some specific regions and other regions do not have volcanoes? So the reason for this is the reason where we understand how are volcanoes distributed around the world. So why is it that they are distributed in this disproportionate manner? Because these volcanoes are distributed all around the world, mostly along the edges of the tectonic plates. So volcanoes occur where the tectonic plates either converge with each other. We know 3 types of boundaries that the tectonic plates make. One is the convergent boundary, one is the divergent boundary, and another is the transform boundary. So all these boundaries differ on the fact as to how these tectonic plates interact with each other. So whenever there is an intersecting region of these tectonic plates are nothing but those plates of crust onto the earth, which the pieces of which make up the whole crust of the earth. So these tectonic plates interact with each other, and the edges of these tectonic plates actually create volcanoes, which is nothing but an opening in the earth's crust, and a lot of material from the Earth's interior, when it comes out on the Earth's surface, that is known as a volcano. So it is generally found at the edges of these plates, but certain volcanoes are also intraplate, which means that within a plate of the Earth there are also volcanoes situated, and the Hawaii volcano, one which we are talking about, is an example of the intraplate volcano. So we'll look at the different types of volcano and where this Hawaiian volcano falls. So it falls in the intraplate volcano part. Some volcanic regions such as the Iceland happen to occur where there is both a hotspot and a plate boundary. So some volcanoes will occur where there's a plate boundary as well, and they are intraplate as well. So let's look at how these volcanoes are distributed. What are those specific regions where most volcanoes are found? So there are major four regions where the volcanoes are found. First is the Circum-Pacific Belt. Now this region is very important because UPSC always focuses on this particular area. This is also known as the Ring of Fire. Why is this known as the Ring of Fire? Because as we can see from the figure, this is the Pacific Ocean. This is the North America, South America, Australia. So the ocean between these continents is known as the Pacific Ocean, right? So the volcanoes are, one can see, at the boundaries of this particular Pacific Ocean. This is known as the Circum-Pacific Belt because it is creating a circumference-like structure around the Pacific Ocean, and also is known as the Ring of Fire because it's shaped like a ring with all the volcanoes in that ring. This also becomes the region for major earthquakes because whenever volcanoes erupt, it is also accompanied by earthquakes. So this is the Circum-Pacific Belt. Now this Pacific Belt or the Pacific Ring of Fire is a string of volcanoes and sites located on most of the Earth's subduction zone, which means that here the big Pacific plate interacts with various other tectonic plates and creates subduction zones, or their interaction actually creates the volcanoes. So therefore they have high seismic activity. There are earthquakes around the edges of the Pacific Ocean. This Pacific Ring of Fire has a total of 452 volcanoes, and most of the active volcanoes are found on its western edge, from the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, where also a recent volcano has erupted, through the islands of Japan and Southeast Asia to New Zealand. Here, in the month of January 2002, a major volcano in the underwater region erupted, which was known as the Tonga volcano. The Tonga volcano, a recent study was conducted on the Tonga volcano, and it was seen that the underwater erupted volcano actually changed the shape of the sea floor. So when we talk about the sea floor spreading or the sea floor altering mechanism, such kind of volcanoes, it was the largest large erupting volcano, the ash of which had gone up to 57 kilometers in the air after having erupted underwater. So the reports say that it changed the shape of the underwater sea floor. This is how massive the impact of volcano is. The next belt is the Mid-Continental Belt. Now which belt is this? This particular belt, which is in the mid-continent region. This is known as the mid-continent belt. This belt extends along the alpine mountain systems of Europe, North America through Asia Minor. So it exists in both all continents, that is the European, American continent, and then Asia as well. So Asia Minor, Caucasia, Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan to the Himalayan mountain system as well. So even the Himalayan mountain system falls a part of it, and that is why this is the reason where some of the earthquakes are also seen in the northern Indian region. Where Delhi faces tremors, there are earthquakes happening in the Nepal region. This is the reason why, because it falls in the mid-continental belt, and also tectonic plate interaction happens in this particular region. That is why. So this is the region. This belt includes the volcanoes of Alps mountains, Mediterranean Sea, which is the famous ones are Stromboli, Vesuvius, Etna. These are the famous volcanoes of this belt. So this is the mid-continental belt. This one. This would be those volcanoes which are in the middle of the continent are known as the mid-continental belt volcanoes. Then we come to the mid-Atlantic ridge region. What is a ridge? A ridge is an opening between or one can say a divergent boundary between two plates. So when two plates are going away from each other, they create a divergent boundary, and this crack which is created in the Earth's crust is known as a ridge. So the mid-Atlantic ridge is a ridge in the Atlantic Ocean. So this is the Atlantic Ocean. There is a underwater ridge or a crack in the seafloor, and that is known as the mid-Atlantic ridge. So even along this ridge, so whenever we say that the Earth's crust is getting separated, though lava is not coming out from that crack, but the Earth's interior is getting exposed and material is coming out, this is also nothing but a form of volcano. So even a ridge is a form of volcano. So this ridge separates the North and South American plate from the Eurasian and African plate, and magma rises through the cracks and leaks out onto the ocean floor like a long, thin undersea volcano. As the magma meets the water, it cools, solidifies, adding to the edges of the sideways moving plates. That's how the sea floor spreads. This process along the divergent boundary has created the longest topographic feature in the form of the mid-oceanic ridges under the oceans of the world. So this ridge is a very long one because it covers the whole Atlantic Ocean, the underwater region of the Atlantic Ocean. So this is the third area. And then the last one is known as the intraplate volcano, of which the Mauna Loa, which we are looking at, the Hawaiian volcanoes, form a part of the intraplate volcanoes, which say that the volcanoes not just occur at the plate boundaries or edges, but they also occur in the intraplate region. Now, there are only 5% of the known volcanoes in the world that are not closely related to plate margins, are generally regarded as the intraplate or hotspot volcanoes. A hotspot is believed to be related to the rising of a deep mantle plume, which means that this is a mass of highly volatile lava which comes out. So this is sitting in a deep mantle plume which is caused by very slow convection of highly viscous material in the Earth's mantle. So whenever there would be a lot of segregation of this material, that is where at a place where it comes out, a hotspot is created, and that's how a volcano erupts. So it can be represented by a single oceanic volcano or lines of volcanoes such as the Hawaiian Emperor Seamount chains. So the volcanoes which we are looking at right now, which are erupting in Hawaii, are a part of the Hawaiian volcanoes. So this was the discussion with respect to the volcanoes. The Mauna Loa volcano, which erupted in the islands of Hawaii. So through this, we understood as to why some volcanoes are only situated in certain places. So a question can come asking about the various latest eruptions of the volcano and about their locations as well. So this was a discussion with respect to this article. With this, let's move on to our next article for the day. The next article which appears in the newspaper reads, "Radio telescope floating in Karnataka waters throws light on nature of early stars and galaxies." So the news talks about an indigenously made radio telescope. So India made radio telescope has made certain discoveries which help us to know the nature of early stars and galaxies after the Big Bang, right? We all know about the Big Bang, which is said that a large explosion took place, and after that this universe started taking shape. So how was the state of the universe just after the Big Bang? How did, from an explosion and the life as we know today, how did these changes occur? This area of study is of much interest to the scientists, and that is what the telescope has helped to do. So from the examination point of view, we'll understand what this radio telescope is all about, how is it indigenously made, how does it work, and what discovery exactly has it done. So let's understand about it. This is the Saras III, which is the name of the radio telescope. What is it? The Saras III telescope, the Saras stands for shaped antenna measurement of the background radio spectrum 3, or therefore short for Saras telescope. So it is a telescope which is a radio telescope, which means that it makes use, or it collects the radio waves. What this is all about, we'll take a look at that. But who has developed this? It is an indigenously designed and built radio telescope at the Raman Research Institute and was deployed in the Dandiganahalli Lake and Shravati backwaters located in northern Karnataka. This is few hours away from the city of Bangalore, and in that lake, as we saw, this particular radio telescope was deployed and now its findings have been studied. So what is this radio telescope all about? These radio telescopes actually collect radio waves. And what are radio waves? Radio waves are one set of the waves in the electromagnetic spectrum. They have the longest wavelength in the electromagnetic spectrum. They with the range from a football to larger than our planet. So these radio waves are actually the waves collected by the radio telescopes. They collect the weak radio light waves, bring it to a focus, amplify it and make it available for an analysis. So one can say that those radio waves which were emitted from galaxies and planets and stars at the time of just after the Big Bang, few million years after the Big Bang, these radio waves are the waves actually which this particular Saras III radio telescope has captured, and therefore is telling us about some properties about that time. So what is it that the researchers have found? The researchers have been able to determine properties of radioluminous galaxies. So the radio waves are collected by this telescope. So at that time, the radioluminous galaxies which were formed just 200 million years post the Big Bang, which is a period known as cosmic dawn. What is this cosmic dawn? We'll take a look at that. But these particular galaxies which existed just after the explosion of the Big Bang, after 200 million years ago, these radio waves have actually been collected by the telescope, and that's how we are coming to know about it. So what are these galaxies? These are the masses of the first generation galaxies that are bright in radio wavelengths. So this helps provide an insight into the properties of the earliest radio loud galaxies that are usually powered by supermassive black holes. So this is the finding that has happened. So what do we mean by this cosmic dawn? What is this cosmic dawn? The ignition of the first stars marks the end of the dark ages and the beginning of our cosmic dawn some 100 million years after the Big Bang. So what it is said that when Big Bang occurred, or the large explosion which created universe as we know today, after that explosion, it was not like the development was very sudden. There was a period of dark ages, one can say, where there was no light for some 100 million years, and after that dark phase, the first light came, and that is known as cosmic dawn. So it's for the first time our universe began shining with a light other than the afterglow of Big Bang. Saras III had improved the understanding of astrophysics of cosmic dawn by telling astronomers that less than 3% of the gaseous matter within early galaxies was converted into stars. And it is found that the earliest galaxies that were bright in radio emission were also strong in X-rays, which have some of the shortest wavelengths, which heated the cosmic gas in and around the early galaxies. So these are the findings that the scientists have able to come down with the help of the observations from this Saras III radio telescope. So we finish this article here and we come to the end of today's discussion. We'll meet again tomorrow with the important articles of the day. Thank you.